Good morning. Thanks for coming out this morning for this early morning session to support our students. I've gotten the opportunity to meet some of you, but not all, so I want to introduce myself. My name is Scotty Merrill. I'm the director of the School of Animal and Comparative Biomedical Sciences, which is the school that the RTIP program actually exists within. This is the second time I've gotten the opportunity to attend this event. I joined the university in April of 2023, and I have to say it's always really remarkable for me to see how the industry comes out to support our programming, as well as all the things that we're doing to train students. Some of you may know it's been a financially challenging year at the university, and one of the things that I've been grateful for in my role is not having to worry about the RTIP program. It's, I think, a fabulous model for how an industry can come together to support and empower programming that is needed to train individuals that will be work ready by the time that they graduate, and has built a sustainable legacy. So how remarkable that it's the 50th anniversary and we're here. So thank you all so much for coming out and doing everything that you can to support our programming and our students, and I welcome you on behalf of the school as well as the entire University of Arizona. So I get the honor of introducing our Capstone student projects today. And so we're going to start with Alicia Evans, and she's going to talk about the work that she's done to explore the balance between over and under training horses and how these kind of studies can be used to prevent injuries and extend thoroughbred racing career. And so I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Alicia. Today I'll be talking about how to find the balance in training young thoroughbreds. So many horses have been breaking down on the track, and while that number has been decreasing in recent years, I think we can all agree that number should be 0. If you know how to listen, your horse will tell you when they've had enough and when they're being pushed too far. This can look like tossing their head, refusing to leave their stall, or rearing. Sometimes these signs can be mistaken for defiance or just not wanting to work, but these are all signs of what is called overtraining syndrome. Each horse during exercise has their natural stopping point, where they would usually quit on their own. To gain muscle, we must push them slightly past this point, but we must be careful not to push too far. If we do, they may mentally check out or physically begin to break down. If we listen to them properly, we can recognize the irritability and laziness as the symptoms of overtraining they may be. The fatigue life is the number of cycles before breakdown. In this case, we're looking at the horse's bones, tendons, and ligaments, and each cycle is 1 stride. To prevent breakdowns, we can benefit from finding the fatigue life of our horses. We tend to think of them as unbreakable, but just like a rubber band, they can only handle so much stress or pressure before they snap. Using a tool called StrideMaster, a study done in 2022 in New Zealand found that they can track the frequency and force of each stride of each horse in training, workouts, and races. They found that on average, the more strides taken per furlong, the more likely they were to break down. This means that fillies, mares, and generally shorter horses were more at risk. To prevent breakdowns, we can use our understanding of these processes. Many people understand bone remodeling, but few know about bone modeling. Bone modeling takes place during the growth period of young horses. It is a formation of new bone in response to repeated stressors, while bone remodeling is a destruction of old, damaged bone and the formation of new bone in its place. Knowledge of both these processes can justify some level of forced exercise in young horses, as long as they are given the proper break between sessions. Track surfaces have also been cited as largely influential in a horse's racing success. A study completed in 2014 shows that turf causes the fewest fractures and is largely considered the safest surface to race and train on. One trainer from an anonymous survey mentioned how they like to have their horses run on all different surfaces to aid them in adapting to surface changes, but they still prefer turf, as it is overall kinder and more forgiving to their legs. This is why free access to pasture is so crucial for developing horses. It allows them to voluntarily exercise, stretch their legs from their stalls, and throw their joints to adapt to the change in surface with natural holes and hills. A study done in 2007 on standardbred trotters broke horses into two main groups. Group A were subjected to normal training levels and methods, while Group B had a much more rigorous protocol. Both groups gained weight in the beginning, but Group B, after 7 of the 13 weeks, began to lose weight. They found that overall, the overtrained group had higher red blood cell counts, higher leukocytes, which is generally a sign of illness, and elevated alpha globulins, which often increase after tissue injury. All this to say, a simple blood test from your veterinarian can help you identify and prevent overtraining in your horses. This will make them more likely to want to work and to stay sound. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not preaching to wait until your horse is 3 years old to begin training. I'm simply trying to help us all as horsemen treat our horses with the love and care that they deserve. There are some clear benefits to beginning early. According to a study in New Zealand, horses that completed the 3 main 2-year-old milestones during their 2-year-old year had longer and more successful careers. These milestones were identified as registering with a trainer, competing in a trial race to measure their readiness, which is similar to a workout here in the US, and completing their first race. Beginning early also allows us to condition the tendons, ligaments, bones, and cartilage during growth. Gene expressions are another way to measure the likelihood of injury. During training, a group in 2023 studied how gene expressions reflected the physical well-being of a group of horses. They were able to identify correlations of injury with 13 specific genes. They found that these gene expressions would decrease the week before a horse got injured. Among these are ones thought to cause destruction of hyaluronic acid and articular collagen. This would allow the substances to better protect the joints and hopefully avoid injury. In conclusion, based on my research, these are my main takeaways. Track surfaces have an impact. Know the difference between bone modeling and remodeling. Blood tests are a beneficial tool, and knowing how and when to listen to your horse. They need breaks too. Here are all the studies I have referenced throughout the presentation. If you'd like to speak more with me on these topics, I'd be happy to chat. My email is up in the top left corner, or I will be by the registration booth most of today if you'd like to speak in person. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. So next I get to introduce Aldo Zamora, and he's going to talk about his work that has examined HISA's impact on small-scale trainers. And he's, in his work, has conducted some survey studies to try to understand from a trainer perspective the financial impacts of the HISA requirements. And so, Aldo, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. Ok, vamos a empezar a hablar de cómo HISA ha impactado a entrenadores de cuadras pequeñas. Nah, just kidding, I'll be in English. Good morning, everybody. My name is Aldo Zamora, and I will be discussing of how HISA has impacted small-scale trainers. Technical difficulties, 1 second. There we go. Okay, a little overview. HISA came into effect on July 2022, created to enforce and develop safety and anti-doping medication rules, controlled rules, and controversial since it was first implemented, and trainers have always had a mixed feeling about it. There's a distributor survey that focused on trainers that started less than 200 horses in the calendar year. This calendar year was 2023. A total of 170 people answered the survey with a mixture of negative and positive answers, mostly negative answers, with trainers wanting more to be done. 90% of those trainers say HISA has impacted them significantly, while 10% noted that there has been no change. This is a table comparing a time before HISA, if talking about if horses sustain greater or fewer injuries compared before and after. This is also just emphasizing this is just talking about injuries, not catastrophic injuries. 70% of those stated there has been no change. 20% say their horses have suffered greater injuries, while 10% has had fewer. This was a question I asked the trainers if, since HISA, they believe they could better compete with the so-called super trainers. 80% of them do not believe they can compete better with them. This is a table. I asked them a question if the trainers believe other trainers were using performance-enhancing drugs. And the table on the left shows pre-HISA, and the table on the right shows under HISA. You can tell on both graphs that yes, they believe, and they still believe they use performance-enhancing drugs. This is a couple of the quotes I'd like to share with you guys I received from all the trainers. I thought they were pretty powerful and interesting. This is in regards to the super trainers of what I asked them, what do you believe that can be done in regards of the super trainers? One person said, actually, find out what they're using. They are now winning even easier due to tighter restrictions. It has been proven that they are using undetectable drugs, so there has been no decrease in their activity. Somebody else said, I feel bigger barns are able to bend the rules. I would like rules to be the same for everyone. And the last quote from this question, someone said, the same standards as everyone else. Maybe watch a little bit more carefully. These guys aren't stopping the nonsense. They are just hiding it better. HISA is naive. Big barns can pay a big fine like nothing. Little barns will be gone because that will ruin their livelihood. This is my other question I had that I thought I was pretty important. I asked them, what do you believe we can do in terms of performance-enhancing drugs? This person said, be a little bit more understanding of people making mistakes with all the new rules, as long as it looks like it's harmless. I am an old trainer and hard to change my way. I keep trying, which I thought was pretty powerful. You know, you get trainers that they're putting the effort because they want to succeed. Somebody else said, they have hurt me with contamination positives. I was so happy when they started, but in my track, they have turned against the honest trainers and are protecting the bad ones. And this quote, to me, just shows that, you know, that people were looking forward to it. They were excited about HISA. And my next quote is one that I thought was pretty powerful. It was jaw-dropping for me when I read it. It was pretty short, but, you know, concise, and it goes, nothing. We're always one step ahead. If you aren't cheating, you aren't trying. Nothing. We're always one step ahead. If you aren't cheating, you aren't trying. It was pretty cynical, but pretty out there, you know, and it just blew my mind how honest this person was, I guess. And my last quote that I thought was pretty detailed, which is why I would like to share with you guys. This person says, establish thresholds for drugs that are human and horse contamination so trainers, horses, and owners don't unjustly get suspended and fined. Hire veterinarians that can recognize that every horse does not have a perfect symmetrical way of going, and that this way of going is normal for that horse. I had one mile straight halt that couldn't pass a vet check, as an example. Allow trainers to give electrolyte paste orally to their horse on race day, especially those hot, humid days when the horse has sweated for hours before the race and really needs electrolytes to replace what has been lost by sweating. Revisit the shoe requirements and maybe focus on angles rather than toe grabs. Those were some of the quotes that I thought were pretty powerful, and I wanted to share with you guys so you guys could see what small-scale trainers are thinking about on every day. In conclusion, takeaways, HISA is much needed, but HISA must do something to help the small-scale trainers. Whenever there's a new implementation of a rule, keep them in mind. These guys are the backbone of the industry. We need to give them hope because they're the ones that fill the races, but they also need to feel loved. We need to show them love and let them know that all these is going to benefit them too. Thank you very much. There's my contact info. If you have any questions, I'll be around the symposium. Thank you very much.
Let's please give our students another round of applause. Again, thank you for coming out to hear our student presentations. Give us just a few minutes and we'll transition into our next panel discussion. So, thank you.